Okay, so I think we got the okay from Mel then. I think he dropped out a little bit, but anyway, we might get started. Hopefully everybody can hear me. And after a big day of technical dramas and everything, it's lovely to see lots of people here to hear about learning in Minecraft. And we're going to be talking about massively at Jokaydia, which is a guild that I run, and we've also got the fantastic team from Project Mist here today. They're from a high school down in Tasmania. So to get started, what I thought we'd do is just have a quick chat about, or a quick check with the audience in terms of who's actually used Minecraft or has experience with Minecraft. And Gregory's saying me. And let us know what Laurel's had a little experience you've had with others, only alone. Okay, so today you're going to be hearing all about playing in Minecraft with lots of other players. We play on multiplayer servers at both Massively Minecraft and also at in Project Mist. Fantastic. So just to give you a little bit of background about Minecraft, Minecraft was developed by a company called Mojang and the famous Marcus Notch Pearson, and it was an indie game that was released into the community a couple of years ago and has grown to have more than 11 million users actually in the game. As far as what you actually do in Minecraft, it's a place where you can build and create, but also a space where you can fight mobs and go exploring and gather resources, and also design and create massive worlds. And the two groups that we're talking about today, as I said, are Massively at Jokaydia, which is a whitelisted Minecraft server, and we actually operate as an outside school activity. So we're not a formal learning project, we're actually an informal learning project. And all of the kids who play on Massively are self-selected. They join our guild. And we're really focused on helping them to develop digital media skills, and also their online social skills and their digital safety skills. So all the kids in Massively have learnt lots about how to be safe online. And our really big number one focus is around creativity. So supporting kids to be makers and content creators as well as content consumers. The other project that we're going to be talking about today is Project Mist, which is a group of students at Riverside High School in Tasmania, and they're led by the amazing Donelle Batty, who's here, and Donelle has worked with a group of students to actually create Minecraft as a subject at school. And watching them evolve over the last couple of years has been an amazing experience, and they're an absolute pleasure to work with. They're going to be talking a little bit about some of the work that they've been doing in their project over the last couple of years. And my slides are totally going in the opposite direction, which is very frustrating. We can't win today. But in terms of a little bit of experience in Minecraft, we might call on Gregory to pop in and say something, and then maybe Natbot to pop in and say something about what you do in Minecraft and why you like it.
Okay, so Minecraft is a sandbox sensation. Minecraft is all about using blocks to build anything you can imagine.
Very true. Imagination's a big part of what we do in Massively Minecraft, isn't it, Gregory? And what about you, Nat? What would your reflections be on doing things in Minecraft?
I suppose Minecraft is one of the greatest creative tools I've ever used. It's something that you just get lost in. It's a completely different world that is so beautiful and creative, and it's just so much fun to teach other people to use it and to share your experiences and to build amazing things. I really love it.
Fantastic. I agree. I love it too. And the next person we might ask to pop in and say something is Donelle, who's the teacher of the Project Mist group. Donelle, do you want to say something about what you see as the value of Minecraft?
I see the value of Minecraft being that it allows students to have real self-directed learning, and they teach each other and learn from each other. And it allows me as the teacher to become a different person in the classroom, so I get to meddle with them and learn from them and support them in their learning rather than telling them what to do. So their learning changes and their learning becomes more dynamic, and that's the bit that I really love.
Yeah, I have to agree. As the facilitator of Massively, one of the things that I see as most exciting is watching the way that kids actually collaborate and self-direct their learning. So they're very into, getting together in groups and coming up with cool ideas and getting out there and exploring, and that's really exciting. And what we often see is that the very young kids are playing with the with the much older kids. We have kids from 4 to 16 in Massively, so it's a huge age range of players, and often we see really lovely collaboration between those different age groups, with the older kids teaching the younger kids and vice versa. And I have to say that the kids teach me a lot as well. Yeah, Laurie's saying that she agrees that the kids work together in cool ways, and that's part of what's really exciting. And yeah, Kate, I agree, those mentoring skills are really huge. So what we're actually seeing up on the screen at the moment is some pictures from Massively of some of the creations that kids have made, and the types of visual arts skills that they're developing, also spatial skills. They develop basic scripting skills using Redstone and learning how to make circuits. And they also do a lot with role play. So lots of character building and exploring identity. And you can see there at Massively we're big Doctor Who fans, and there's a huge TARDIS in the background of the picture that's up on the screen at the moment. Nat, I agree. The pixel art that some of the kids on Project Mist have made is amazing, and you're going to see some pictures of that later on in the session as well. And we'll just pop up a few more images so that you can get a good look at some of the creations that people have made in Worlds. So you can see up on the screen now there's an amazing castle that some of the kids in Massively have made. That castle was made by a few little boys who are between the ages of 9 and 11. And just the skills that they've developed in terms of being able to build and create are really amazing. And one of the boys who's been involved in this project has actually also been experimenting with OpenSim this week, and it's been really fantastic to see how those visual skills and those spatial skills have transferred into him starting to use a more complex building tool. So lots of exciting creations that you can see popping up on the board. The image that we've got up on the screen now is actually a build by Chris Hart's son, which is he's one of our fantastic players, and he's really into creating quests and challenges and battlefields and things like that. So this is actually a mob arena that he's created that allows him and other players to fight some of the monsters in Minecraft. And they collaborate together and work as a team to be able to win those battles. And it's lovely to see little Nate's creativity and he's really clever at coming up with good ideas for games for the other kids to play. So moving on from just getting a bit of a look at some of the things that you can see kids are building in Minecraft, I thought I'd move on to talking a little bit about the guts of how Massively at Jokaydia works. So we run a safe whitelisted server. Whitelisted means that only players who've been approved can actually log in and join the server. And one of the things that we take really seriously is safety and security. So we actually meet legal requirements for having kids online in Australia and the UK and also the US. And we have a process that the kids go through to join the guild where they have to sign up and get parents' permission. And they also have to complete some activities on our guild website. So we're actually getting them involved in writing and reflecting on what they do in Minecraft, and learning to use those very important 21st century tools that we're all learning to use in terms of social media and forums and things like that. We have about 600 players in our community, which is a huge number, and the server runs 24/7 and is pretty heavily populated at certain times of the day, particularly when our time zones cross and the Australian and the US and the UK kids can all play together. In terms of the nationalities of where our kids come from, we've got a huge cohort of kids from Australia and also the US. We have kids from the UK and New Zealand. We even have a couple of kids from China, which has been fantastic. Mexico, Norway and Canada. And so we're even seeing a bit of language learning going on in Massively, with kids sharing culture and language, which is lovely to see. One of the key features of the Massively project that I think sets it apart from lots of other family-friendly Minecraft servers, and there are many out there, but one of the things that really sets us apart is that we have an award system in our community. And that award system allows kids to level up and gain more agency and responsibility in our community. So the kids take part in quests and challenges, and we have about 120 quests and challenges on our guild site, and they can self-select which ones they want to work on. And all of the activities that are in our award system are designed so that they plug into various literacies. So, digital literacies like, safety and identity and those sorts of things, and also collaboration. We also have a number of activities that ask them to use online tools. So, for example, we have a Skype award where they actually get together in Skype as a group and learn how to use those voice tools. We also have awards like the Forum Writers tool, which asks them to actually contribute in our forum, and it's really lovely to see the ideas and experiments and suggestions that kids make in the guild site in terms of what's happening in our community. As well as the Forum Writers Award, we have a Treehouse Award, and Gregory's going to talk about the treehouse that he's made later on in the session. But the Treehouse Award is really focused on obviously building and creativity, but it's also focused on thinking about ecology and environmental issues. So we try to build some thinking and research into some of the activities that the kids do, as well as setting up things that are lots of fun. Geometers Award is a good example of a maths focused award, where we ask the kids to actually figure out some surface area in the builds that they're creating. So you can see, just based on these kinds of examples of awards, that the scope for the kind of learning that you can build into Minecraft without making it about school can be very powerful. The Scientists Award is another one that lots of the kids really enjoy doing, and in that one we don't actually set a requirement, we just ask them to come up with a scientific theory that they've learned about at school or that they're interested in, and somehow represent that in Minecraft. So in terms of some of the creations that kids have been making, up on the screen now, we've got Gregory's treehouse. So Gregory, do you want to pipe in and tell us about what you've been building in Massively and what you like about creating and what you've created with your treehouse? Oh, we've lost him. It's always the way, technical dramas. But I'll speak a little bit about Gregory. So Gregory's a real collaborator in our community. He works with lots of other players, and he's really into collaborative builds. And you can see here on the screen he's made an epic treehouse that's built up in the jungle. And he's even created a sign that says, "I love my treehouse." And what we see with kids like this is that they come into the community after playing single player, and that collaboration that they get to do together is one of the most exciting things. So being able to work with other kids to build interesting creations and experiment together is a real motivating force. And if he manages to get back online, we'll get him to say a few words when he gets back. But moving right along, Just to give a few other examples of the types of builds that kids are creating, you can see up on the screen here an epic build by one of our kids who's an older player and has really amazing design skills. So this is a 16-year-old, and he's really developing multimedia skills and demonstrating them in Minecraft, and it's really exciting to see the work that Rian does. That's an amazing garden that he actually built for other players to enjoy. As well as that, we see kids doing all sorts of interesting things around literature. So we often see them building the books that they're reading, and this is actually an image or a build by a little guy who's 10. And if you saw our display in Second Life at Virtual World's Best Practice, you would have seen the videos that he's made as well. But Shibley J's really into Camp Half-Blood, which is part of the Percy series of books that teachers of primary school kids here would probably know about. And he's actually built all of the houses for all the characters in Camp Half-Blood here in the build. And in talking to him about what he's created, he's really demonstrating a deep understanding of the book and the characters and the plot development. And it's a really lovely way to get kids to do a novel study, to actually, you know, really engage deeply in something that they've been reading. Similarly, we've had kids doing builds around the Hunger Mines or the Hunger Games, and they've really engaged heavily in building each of the districts for the Hunger Games. You can see up on the screen now a model of a historical vessel. So this is HMS Sirius. And this was built by a kid in Australia and a kid in the UK, and they actually did this as part of a history award. So they had to go out and actually research some historical facts as part of this project and publish them as part of their build. So you can see some of the historical facts have been added there in on the slide. So they found out when it was launched and when it was wrecked and why it was important. We also see kids doing lots of creative writing inspired by Massively. So up on the screen now you can actually see a poem that one of the girls in our community has written and published on our guild site about creepers. So the gameplay and the creative stuff that they do in World actually inspires them to get into writing. And we actually have kids really motivated at the moment to publish an ebook of stories by Massively Kids. So that's something that will be coming out in the coming months, and we hope that you'll engage with it. But that's a real example of how Minecraft actually leads to other projects and experiments and artistic creations beyond playing inside the game. It looks like we've got Gregory back. Can you talk now, Gregory? Okay, I'll put your slide back up, and do you want to just quickly say something about your treehouse?
So my treehouse was based on exploring Massively for a while, and I found some other cool tree houses, so I got a bit of inspiration from that. So I built my own tree house bit by bit. I invited some people over and they helped a lot, and I got more ideas.
Excellent work, Gregory. And I have to say, I think that's one of the coolest tree houses in Massively. You've done a great job of that, and I think you've made a really good point about collaborating with other players. So that's giving you a little bit of an overview of the kinds of things that happen in Massively. You can see up on the screen we'll show one more example, which is a performing arts example. This is actually a theatre that one of the kids built in Massively that allows them to actually do performances for each other. So we call it Moon Panda's 8-bit theatre. And she's very into doing kind of panto made-up performances there. And they've also done a bit of machinima. So that's one of the other things that kids do in Massively that allows them to move into using other forms of multimedia. And you know, I think you know, for educators, that's one of the really, you know, exciting things about this game, that it actually can lead to so many other artistic creations and projects that allow kids to take their work out online to spaces like YouTube and share it with a more international community, and also to connect it back to curriculum. So, you know, in all of those examples that we've been showing over the last little while, you can really see those connections to curriculum. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of what's been happening at Massively, and really is kind of an example of the kind of outside school learning that's happening in Minecraft. And I think one of the things that I often say to educators and parents when they're asking me about Minecraft is that, this is a game that, a huge proportion of our kids are really heavily engaged in. And, if we can connect that back to some learning, both informally and within a school context, where, we're really providing an engaging and an exciting space for kids to learn well beyond, some of the more traditional e-learning strategies that we've used in the past. And for me, as a facilitator of Massively over the last couple of years, I have to say it's a space where I've seen, more engagement from kids than I've seen in any other virtual environment ever, I think, including Second Life and OpenSim and all those other spaces. So having said all of that, without further ado, we might pass over to the kids from Project Mist and let you hear a little bit about what they're doing from an inside school context. So for Donelle and the boys from Project Mist, I'm going to hand over to you guys.
Thanks, Jo. I'd like to introduce the two students that I have with me today. That's Harry and Nathaniel. And they do a lot of the work behind the scenes in the class, as well as supporting in-class activities. They will actually talk to you a little bit about where we've come from, what we've learnt, and how what we're doing also informs us about where we need to go next. So, Nathaniel, would you mind just giving us a brief overview of where we've come from?
Okay, well, my name's Nathaniel and I'm a grade 10 student from Tasmania, and Project Mist basically started out while Miss Batty was running a Quest Atlantis class at our school using the educational virtual worlds tool Quest Atlantis, and she came to us as a group in the class and asked us about Minecraft and what we thought of it from an educational perspective, and what we thought how we thought it could become a subject at school. And we were really excited about this idea and immediately ran off to the library to start meetings with our friends about how this could work. And these meetings slowly grew as we got more members, and we eventually presented to our principal at our school, and she let us create the subject for the next year. And then we began a research project where we joined Massively to try and learn how to run a server and how to support a Minecraft class. And from there, we've just been growing and connecting with schools around Tasmania and more with Massively, and slowly growing and learning along the way.
Thanks, Nathaniel. Just in relation to that, one of the most important things for us has been the support that we had from our principal when we started off dabbling with this concept. Her vision was crucial and her support was crucial in what we did, because of the fact that we wanted to provide a space that wasn't just held within the walls of the classroom. We actually wanted a space where students could participate at home and connect with other people beyond the school as well. Our server is whitelisted, so only those people who are allowed on our server can be on our server. So we've learned a lot from Massively Minecraft in relation to that. And we have a charter as well, which supports our community and how we develop as a group of people and what we see as important in regard to our values. But the crucial aspect of us being able to do what we do really came down to the support of the leadership in the school, because they had to get there and support us in moving forward and having ports opened and things that, seemed a little bit scary at the time, but, allowed us to dabble further and jump in and immerse. So that was a really key aspect, is that support from our principal, who was excited about the concept of gaming as well. She actually has a son who was a little bit older and was at university, and she actually saw the power of gaming because he connected with people in World of Warcraft and actually learnt, would go off and have chats with them about some of the work he was doing at uni, and would actually learn in a community there and revise for exams with the people he connected with in that space. So she could actually see the power of gaming beyond the classroom, and so therefore that gave us a real avenue to move forward, which was really exciting. Harry, would you like to talk to us a little bit about what we've learnt?
Yeah, sure. So the first, or probably the most crucial thing that we've learnt is how to run a server well and what we need for a good server. So our server at the moment is through Joe, and so that's obviously hosted in America, and we don't have any direct influence to it, but we can go and work with all of the mods that are on our server and kind of play with them. And we've learnt throughout our 2 years of the subject, or a year and a half of the subject now, what mods we do need for the server. So things like making sure people can't hack and protecting different areas so people can't grief and kind of things like that. And we've also learned how to manage a server from an admin side of thing. So if people are, griefing or hacking or anything that are in the class, then we will ban them temporarily and then kind of go and talk to them one-on-one and figure out why they were doing it and things like that. Another thing that we've learnt is how to structure the class from a marking standpoint. So for the first year, we weren't really overly sure how to mark the subject. We kind of had an idea that we wanted to mark things on what people had built and how much they had collaborated and things like that, but we weren't overly sure. But this year we created a class blog that a couple of us are helping run, and so the students in the class are pretty much marked on a few things. They can make pictures, videos, or write text about what they've been doing and then put that on the blog, and they get a certain number of points for what they do. And so the more points they get, the higher they are ranked on the server. Third thing that we've learnt is last year we had a lot of troubles with logging everyone on to Minecraft because we're in a school environment and so every computer has the same IP. When there were 25 people trying to log on to Minecraft at the same time, it sort of thought, something's going on here. There are too many people trying to connect from the one IP, and so a lot of people couldn't get on. So this year, we've gone out and bought a lot of USBs and put on those a proxy that we use to access Minecraft instead. So now it's nice and easy for everyone to get into Minecraft at the same time, and we don't really have any issues with that at the moment. So the last thing that I've got here on my dot point list of what we've learnt is the students who are running the class at the moment, so me and Nathaniel and Chris and a couple of others, are all grade 10s this year. So next year we'll all be going off to college, so we won't be able to help with running the class, and we won't be able to help as much with the server side of things. So we've had to kind of look in the classes and figure out who's helping out a lot and who's really, really enthusiastic about the subject. And so then the people who are, we've upgraded to mods on the server, and then next year, when they're grade 9s or 10s and we're off in college, they will be able to kind of take over the roles that we've been doing and help Miss Batty a lot with the running of the subject and the running of the server.
Excellent. Thank you, Harry. One of the things that I find most interesting is the fact that we want this to be an organic student-led project, and so working out who comes up through grade 7 and grade 8 and grade 9 to take over roles when the grade 10 students leave is an exceptional challenge, but it's also lots of fun in the process because we have some very keen students to support and who are wanting to do that. It also provides an avenue for students who want to be pushed in relation to their learning to be part of that, and an avenue for students who are technically minded to have a real challenge themselves And so it does add a different dimension to the schooling that we already offer at Riverside High School for students who are more focused on in-world gaming and worlds, and also learning with different technological tools. It gives them an opportunity to shine in our school. And so that's been a really wonderful thing. The other thing that's really lovely about what's happened with Minecraft is it's given students a place who sort of haven't really fitted into some of the other groups in the school. So it's really given them a place and a profile, and we see lots of wonderful connections occurring. And so one example of a great connection that has occurred is we have a couple of students in our class who are on the autistic spectrum, and they are not actually in the grade that we run the class for at that particular time, but they come in. And they come in and work with other students, and they've built up relationships. So their skills in getting along with people has really improved, and they've become valuable members in the classroom because of the skills they have in the game. So that's been exciting. We've done lots of things that have informed our learning along the way and created some changes that have happened in our classroom. So Nathaniel, would you talk about some of the things that you've done last year that actually informed us about what we needed to do this year and how that's changed as well? So in particular, the gaming.
Yeah. Well, last year I participated in an online course, an online, massively open online course through Coursera on gamification. So this is using game mechanics to intrinsically and extrinsically motivate people to do certain things. So it's used by a lot of businesses to encourage production and in their businesses. But we decided to use this to encourage students to document their learning and share it. So through this system, students create content about what they're learning and post it to the blog, where they then gain points in the gamification system that levels them up and gives them more ability to do things in-game.
Thanks, Nathaniel. One of the things that we've discovered is that not necessarily all students buy into that, or that sometimes the time between getting enough points from one level to move to the next has needed something in between. So the students have actually talked about that in Skype. So often we have discussions happening in Skype at home, out of school hours, to talk about how we can tweak the game and how we can add other things into that system to engage more students, which has been really fascinating and interesting. So our whole learning process with regard to the students that lead the subject is an inquiry-based one, where we constantly look at what we're doing and review what we're doing and think about how we can make it better and improve it. The other exciting thing that's happened over the last 2 years is that we've had some primary schools that have been really interested in what we're doing, and they have decided to get involved in different levels. And so at the moment we have 20 students from Riverside Primary School who participate in lunchtime programs on our server, and we have students who monitor that and jump in and support. And over time what we've done is we've sort of distanced that physical face-to-face connection with them to create a situation where they are now communicating with us in the online world. So initially when we set it up, a couple of students and myself would go over to the school and work with them. Then gradually we distanced that by having the students online and myself online and in-game at the time. And now in setting up at the beginning of this year, we handed it over to the teachers in that school to be in charge of what they wanted to occur in the classroom. And we monitored just from the outside, but offered our support when it was required. This has been really interesting to watch because it's such a wonderful opportunity for our older students to be mentors and to be leaders and to help out and build that connection between the two schools, because Riverside Primary School is a feeder school for us. And so we have students who, get themselves into a bit of a pickle sometimes, like you would out in the playground. And so issues arise, but our older students jump in and they support things and they remind them about their identity online and, is it fair to all? Is it meeting our charter? We've all signed this. What should you be doing? So that's been really fantastic. The other really cool situation that's occurred with the school, which is Westbury Primary School, which is a little school, which is a little school that's a fair distance away from us. It's a rural school, and at that school they have 7 students on our server and a teacher. And the really cool thing about that is the teacher has jumped into this without having any knowledge of playing Minecraft herself, and they're so excited about teaching her. And one of the really great stories she sent me the other day was she had taken a picture of a house she built in Minecraft and showed it to them when they were going on an excursion somewhere on the bus, and they immediately said, "Oh, we need to help you out there. We need to get you a better house than that." And so they've jumped in game and they've worked together, and that is the value that I see, is that change of pedagogy and approach that we have. Harry, is there anything else that you would like to add in relation to what we've learnt and where we're going with Minecraft in school?
Not particularly. I think we've just about covered it.
Thanks, Harry. Nathaniel, is there anything else that comes to mind that you would like to mention?
I would like to speak about some other work I've been doing through Minecraft and people I've met with through Massively Minecraft. One kid from the UK, Ajnin. Through this, I've actually learnt a bit from him and helped him in creating a bit of a coding program which helps us to create permissions for the server, and I've been beta testing that for him and sending him feedback on that, and it's been a bit of a back and forth that I found really interesting.
Yeah, I'll jump in and make a comment about that too. Ajnan is one of the leading players in Massively. He's been with us for a long time, and he's a kid who started when he was 11, and he actually turns 14 in 2 days. And Ajnan is a kid who started off playing in Minecraft and setting up servers and all the sorts of things that we've been talking about today, and has actually moved on to, creating some really quite complex programming and delving into learning PHP and Java and all those sorts of things. And the application that he wrote that he's been working with Nat to beta test is actually a permissions program that allows you to set permissions on the server for all the players so that they can access various commands, and that programming that he's done has actually now been picked up by a couple of other groups overseas in the US and also in the UK, and is used there. So for him, that's a really meaningful and real life experience in terms of where he can take his skills, and he's a little guy who is going to end up being the world's greatest coder watching his development. And further to that, he's actually just yesterday presented internationally at his first conference over in Barcelona at the Scratch conference. So the learning that he does online in games has really led to some very meaningful experiences and opportunities in real life, and is really about pathways towards careers and being able to vision and imagine his future in terms of the way that he uses technology. And I think that's been a really powerful cross connection that's happened between Project Mist and Massively, and really illustrates the value of both in school and outside school Minecraft in terms of the kinds of opportunities that it provides for kids.
Yeah, Jo, can I just jump in there for a second? Is that okay?
Of course.
Thank you. That's the thing that I love the most, is the fact that we've suddenly got a space where the traditional boundaries of the classroom don't exist, and where our students can actually connect with other students, and our students can then create their own networks that they can work with and learn from, and the world becomes such a smaller place, and the opportunities that are there for them actually grow and are really incredible. And that's the thing that I love about this space, is the fact that we're doing it in a way that provides them with that opportunity to build a really strong identity and understand who they are in a virtual world space or a game space, and take that further and build on it for potential opportunities for later on in their lives. And that's the thing that excites me the most, is seeing this learning be not confined to school, but actually be real for them and be an everyday thing for them. And that's the power of a virtual world or a gaming space that, you know, like Minecraft. It's just fabulous. Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and it's definitely the thing that keeps me up at ridiculous hours of the night facilitating kids all over the world, and all of the hard work that goes into Minecraft is seeing that those experiences and the kind of light bulbs that go on for kids as they join an online community. And I think that that's one of the other things that's really important to highlight with Minecraft, that not only are we talking about the communities that we've built here, but we're also seeing kids connect to the broader international Minecraft community of players from all over the world and all ages and nationalities, and being able to plug into the kind of programming and IT development that happens around Minecraft in terms of the community plugins and add-ons that are built around Minecraft, but also being able to plug into things like the huge machinima community that publishes on YouTube. And we have lots of kids who are, following very famous machinimists and really idolize and emulate what those people are doing. I think the other thing that's really interesting is that most of the kids in Massively are very, very conscious of who Notch is and what he's up to. So they're actually connecting to the makers of this game, and I think that's one of the things that really sets Minecraft apart from lots of other games like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars and some of the other games that we're also exploring for education, that kids are really heavily connected to the makers of this game, and they understand the process of how it's made and the kind of thinking that goes into it. And that's really an exciting thing for kids to connect to. And yes, Gregory, what would you like to say? Jump in. Oh, we've lost Greg's voice again. Yep, do you want to jump in and say something, Harry, while Gregory gets his voice sorted out?
Yeah, well, something that I've just thought of that has to do with learning and to do with Minecraft is almost 2 years ago now, I started making YouTube videos, and I started doing that with Minecraft, and that's a big thing on YouTube with people doing Minecraft commentaries, and I know that for me personally, it's brought me a lot of skills with things like kind of interacting with people on the internet and video editing and kind of things like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Harry. It really connects you to lots of things. And yes, Gregory, go right ahead. Make sure you press your talk button down. Oh, Gregory, we can't hear your voice, so we'll have to move on. But that kind of gives you an overview of what we've been doing in Minecraft and the kinds of projects that we've been working on. So we might open it up to some questions from the audience as a wrap up to the session. So feel free to pop your questions in and I'll read them out. And Gregory, if you want to say something, you can type it, buddy, and I'll read it out for you. So Gregory's saying, so in Massively we have worlds within the server. Yep, that's true. We have multiple worlds on the Massively server. And they have different modes, yeah. So we have a creative world, and we have a survival world. We also have a role play world. Yeah, and he's saying like Odia, which is a survival world. So in Odia, survival means that you can't get any free blocks to build. You actually have to go and mine and gather the resources that you use to create. It also means you're at the mercy of mobs, so creepers can come and blow up your buildings. Yeah, that's right. And in Massively, in the Massively world, we have creative mode, and creative mode gives you all of the objects so that you can focus on building creatively rather than having to gather stuff. So which one's your favourite? Massively. So creative is your favourite. Okay, so it looks like Kate's asked a question in the text about a unit in the New South Wales curriculum. So Donelle, do you want to jump in and answer that?
Yeah, one of the things that we do with our server is that the students actually determine what and how we interact, and they have a charter that they sign. And that came from the work that you do, Joe, the fact that you have a charter that your young people sign when they join. And the students actually create that, and then students are involved in maintaining that, so creating that culture, and then how we implement it if something goes wrong. And I think it might have been Harry who mentioned the fact that, you know, if someone's been griefing, that's obviously breaking our charter, because our charter talks about the fact that we need to respect each other, respect each other's builds, and be mindful of supporting other people's learning. And so if someone does do some griefing, we have a process that we go through, and the students are all involved in that process. It's a very open process, and that works in with being able to talk about things like democracy and how that works in a larger society. So Minecraft provides that opportunity because of the fact that it can be a culture that it's a community, and every community has its own culture, and how you set that up is determined by the group of people within it and the things that you put in place. So yeah, there was a question that jumped in a little bit earlier. I think it was how has it changed learning? And I think one of the major things there is that it's about engagement, and it's about passion and interest, and we really allow that to occur in our classroom. We don't give students a directed task. They're not told they have to do a particular thing in our classroom. They are asked to choose some people to work with, or they can work by themselves, but they must collaborate with others to create the end product that they're aiming for. And so it really is about their own personal interest, their personal choice, and that's an incredible thing because that builds on that whole concept of communication and working with others, and those 21st century literacy skills, you know, it's that collaboration, it's problem solving, so those things are so important. So yeah, as Kate was saying, real ownership and authentic learning, that's the key to it. So and someone then said, what about assessment? Well, assessment in Tasmania has fitted nicely into our technology curriculum, and we have a ICT checklist. And so that ICT checklist gets checked off in grade 6 and grade 10. And so all the things they do in Minecraft actually work towards being checked off on that. And in technology, under our curriculum at the moment, it fits reasonably well with that. So it's a bit of a morphing of two things together, and it's run as an option subject. So it allows for that, I suppose, flexibility in the assessment concept. Assessment in Tasmania for primary's case, that's up to the teacher who's running that. But again, it's the same curriculum across the state that fits for all. So so that technology curriculum and that ICT checklist, that fits for primary through to secondary.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to have a parent here who can give a bit of a perspective on the impacts that it's had for your child too. Chris has just said in the text, I can say that from a parent's perspective, massively Minecraft has been fantastic for my boy. He's learned so much. And just to follow on from what Donelle was saying about the changes that we see in learning, when I watch kids come into Massively as newbies, we call them spores in Massively, and we've watched them actually, developing skills. What I think one of the most powerful things that I see is that development of collaboration skills, and I think collaboration skills are such an important 21st century skill, the ability to seek and find out and connect to experts and research and all of those sorts of things are happening all of the time, and we see kids really working together to figure stuff out. We also see kids really heavily engaged in researching the kinds of plugins that we run, for example. So they're really developing skills in terms of, online search and all of those sorts of things. And they become very confident in questioning the way that I run the server. I can't get anything past them when we have updates. They all know that the new update's been released before I have. So they have a really strong connection to digital literacy and to being able to find the information that they need to make a case for a new plugin or to argue why I should update the server quicker. And the other thing is that from the perspective of a non-school form of assessment, our award system really provides a way of assessing learning and also documenting learning, and that the kids actually go through the process of choosing the awards that they want to do, and in order to earn them, they need to be able to demonstrate what they've learned and what they've created. And we see kids doing some really interesting writing around what they've gone and found out about when they're building a history creation or something like that, and also learning skills in how to document their learning in an online world. And I think increasingly as we have kids getting involved in things like MOOCs and Moodles and all the other things that we use at school, the kinds of skills that they're learning informally are really important in terms of their online skills. And Chris is saying the award system is huge. It's so important to the kids. And yeah, I think that's really true. The kids are really heavily engaged in the award system, and it actually allows them to level up to be leaders in the game. So kids who gain 50 awards actually become junior moderators and are then responsible for supporting other players in the game, and they have epic power. So, there's a kind of informal and a inside school formal kind of or two examples of the way that learning can be documented and assessed. So we got any more questions? Did I miss any? Thanks, Kate. Kate saying yes, best practice for Massively MC and Project Mist. And I think that for me as a facilitator, it's been a huge learning curve, but also one of the most inspiring and rewarding learning curves that I've ever been on professionally in terms of working with kids and actually being open to allowing them to lead and contribute to the process of creating community. So Donelle, do you want to jump in and say any last words?
Thanks, Jo. I think the most important thing for me as a teacher was to let go and to immerse and be part of, and not be too scared about the fact that I didn't know or didn't have the skills or was learning as I went along. And often as a teacher, that's a hard thing to give away, but in doing that, it's exceptionally empowering, and it actually changes how things happen in the classroom, and it's inspiring. And that's what I love the most about it, is the fact that, letting go has meant that not only have my students learned, but I've also learned as well, and that is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, it's been really great also to have some wonderful mentors to talk to and to be inspired by. So you, Jo, have certainly been a significant mentor in all of this, and then to be able to go off and learn about other people who are doing interesting things in regard to pedagogy and to be challenged by their thinking. So the concept of tinkering and the concept of community and those sorts of things, and changing the way we learn. doing all that background research and listening to others about that and seeing how that then portrays into this space is really important, because the last thing that I would like to ever see is that we just transport the traditional 1950s classroom into this space. I think that would be quite devastating. We need to work with it and evolve with it and be challenged and continue to challenge others. Thank you, Jo.
Fantastic. So I think we've gotten to the end of our hour, and hopefully you've gotten an overview of two different perspectives on Minecraft, but with lots of shared values and approaches. And hopefully it'll inspire some of you to take Minecraft out to your kids in your classrooms. I want to say a huge thank you to our students who've come along and our players from Massively Minecraft. Gregory and Harry and Nat, you are superstars, and I'm so very proud of all of you. And a huge thanks to Donelle too. It's such a pleasure to be able to work with Project Mist, and thanks to everybody who's come along. Oh, and we should put up one last slide as the final slide. If you want to find out more about any of these projects or follow along with what we've been doing, I'm just popping up on the screen there some web addresses for all of our various projects, and we will actually publish these slides in the right order up online in the next couple of hours so people can track them down if they want to. But you'll see there our blogs and Twitters and all the other spaces that we publish information about the project. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope that the rest of your conference is a good one.